Welcome aboard the National Football Show with your boy Big Sills. Jesus, criminy. When am I going to learn this? Okay? That social media, mainly Twitter, is the outhouse wall of social media. It is. People will say and twist anything that you say on a tweet into their own narrative. And it's mostly people in my business. Some of you are out there going, what the hell am I talking about? And I'm going to get to that here in a minute. Obviously, today was the NFL trading deadline. We're going to get into that. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with this Eagle team. Some great NFL news. Last night, did you ever see a team get a win and not be satisfied with the win? I kind of felt like I did after the Eagles got a win against the Lions. It was unsatisfying. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you can't be satisfied with what you saw last night. What's happened to Andy Reid's Chiefs? We'll get into that here in a minute. But as I mentioned a couple seconds ago, NFL trading deadline. I tweeted out, I don't know what it was, Xander, maybe 10 days ago, maybe 7 days ago, that the Philadelphia Eagles were actively shopping defensive tackle Fletcher Cox. I never in any way said that he was going to be traded. All I said is that Fletcher Cox was being actively put on the market by the Eagles and Howie Roseman. Numerous sources have come through and said that the football team has received a mountain of calls for potentially acquiring the defensive tackle. Okay? Simple. You've got a high-priced guy. You just got through moving Zach Ertz. And at the end of the day, why would you think about moving Fletcher Cox? If you could get that money off your payroll, you know how he wants as many picks. What does he have now? I think it's up to 11 when we're talking about draft picks for next April's draft. Jesus, criminy. And by the way, I'll say this to you. This Philadelphia Eagle team has the identity of Howie Roseman. It doesn't have an identity of a football player. It doesn't have the identity of a coach, which it should. It has the identity of the GM. I figured this out last night. We're sitting around in Philadelphia, and people in Philly, you know what they're looking forward to now? They're looking forward to next April. They're looking forward to the draft. What about the rest of this season? You've got 9 more ball games. What about the rest of the year? What are you doing with that? That shows you, in a nutshell, how this organization has been run. Acquiring draft picks, ask the Rams what they think of acquiring draft picks, what that means. This is not like it was 15 years ago, folks, where you have a 5-year plan and fans are going to sit around on their hands and do this. Hey, you know what, man? We'll give the coach and we'll give the organization 5 years. If they build it, they will come. Dude, these tickets are too expensive today. People don't have two things nowadays: disposable income and disposable time. People want to sit there and they want to know that their money that they're investing in something that they enjoy, you're also putting the same type of investment in. Make no mistake about it, the Philadelphia Eagles have the identity of the GM, and that's not a good thing. How many teams out there in the NFL have the identity of a GM? Let's take a look at that, for instance. Give me a team anywhere. The only thing we know about Philly, they got a lot of draft choices, and they got 3 picks in next April's draft. Well, what about their quarterback? Well, I don't know yet. Well, what about their roster? Nah, it's okay. It's pretty decent. It's not great. What about their head coach? I don't know yet. What about their GM? He's got a lot of picks next year. Jesus criminy. I would rather have one pick in next April's draft and have a good football team. That's what the Rams are thinking about. That's what the Rams are thinking about. Okay? The Rams are thinking about winning a championship this year. Have you guys ever heard of Les Snead and Kevin Demoff, the front office of the Rams. I don't know what credit card they're using, but they get Jalen Ramsey. They go turn around and make a deal to get Matthew Stafford. They go get Von Miller in Denver. Jesus criminy, man. There's certain teams that just get it. And there's certain teams that want to have a Hollywood general manager. I don't care about draft picks. The chances, hey, watch this. What do you think the chances next April of Howie Roseman hitting on all 11 of those draft picks? What do you think the chances are that he hits on all of them? 0. What do you think the chances are that he hits on 25% of them? Well, that's usually the average, but he has been less than average over the last couple of years. Dude, your football team can't be the representation of what your GM is and his identity. Ask the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones how that's worked over the last 28 years. Ever since Jimmy Johnson left that building, the Cowboys have won 3 postseason games since they won their last Super Bowl. Do you know that? Tom Brady in one season won more NFC playoff games than the Cowboys have in the last 27 years. I mean, you can't have a football team where you're being run by the front office. It's got to be out of the locker room. The coaches have to have integrity in the locker room. You can't have your GM floating down on Thursdays and Sundays giving you player sheets. You just can't. And all I'm hearing is, well, they got 11 first-rounders. And they were actively shopping Fletcher Cox. Jesus criminy. The idiots in my business are just so obnoxious. Twitter has made it so. Get this, too. You know what's crazy, guys? I'm going to get to everybody. By the way, I think everybody coming aboard right now, you guys are fantastic. Antonio King, Carlos, Paul, all of you guys. We'll get to you guys in a minute. And by the way, if you're new to the program, please know this, that we make you part of the content. Hey, real quick, please hit the like button. We really appreciate it. As we start here, so much to get to. But they were actively shopping Fletcher Cox. Why wouldn't you actively? If you were going to deal Zach Ertz, you could deal Fletcher Cox as well. The Eagles are going nowhere. How about this? You want to hear something even more so? The Eagles are not going anywhere for the next 5 years, at minimum. You haven't addressed the quarterback position yet. You think that's going to magically, all of a sudden, unless you get Russell Wilson or you get Aaron Rodgers, and you convince those two guys or one of those two guys to go and play in Philly, your quarterback dilemma is going to linger. You think you're going to go into the draft and get one of those guys? Look at even the quarterbacks that we have now that are in the NFL. Look how long it took Josh Allen. It took him a couple of years to get his feet right. Joe Burrow's still going through it. Justin Herbert, who the Eagles will see this weekend, is also going through it. I mean, give me a break, dude. This thing is 5 years at minimum from turning around into a Super Bowl contender. And by the way, I don't care about winning NFC East titles. I'm talking about being a Super Bowl contender. When you have to pay $450 or $350 for a ticket at Lincoln Financial, folks, nobody's going to sit around and go like this. Hey, 5 years from now, I'll be back with you. I'll be here the whole way with you. Give me a break. Give me a break. So the Eagles and their fans are doing this. Next April, what about the remaining 9 games? What do you tell your fan base? We surrendered? Oh, this is a rebuild now. But at the beginning of the year, it wasn't. Now it is. Oh, it was always a rebuild. Everyone knew it. Maybe everyone except people in the front office. You didn't actually think that this football team was going to do anything this year, did you? Hey, I'll make a point to you. You don't actually think after watching the Chiefs last night play against the Giants in a struggle, you don't really think the Chiefs are a contender for the Super Bowl. They're not even the best 4-4 team in the AFC. Not even the best team in the AFC at 4-4. And you got Patrick Mahomes on the team, who you just gave $500 million to. Give me a break. Give me a break, right? All right. We are going to have a special guest in the second hour of the program. Bad Moon Rison. Andre Rison, who's on the Hall of Fame ballot this year. When he played, he was in the same conversation as Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin, all those fabulous wide receivers, best friends with Tupac Shakur. Left Eye Lopez, his relationship with her. We will talk with him about numerous things. He is one of the most polarizing people that you can ever speak to. And by the way, his Michigan State Spartans are having a hell of a season. So we will talk with Andre Rison, Bad Moon Rison. That'll be in hour number 2. All right. Carlos, Antonio King, David, thank you so much. HBQB says, J-Mac, I thank you for coming aboard. Anytime you guys want to bring anything to the table, we add it into the conversation. We got a boatload of stuff here, too. Let's start it off here. Antonio, the Eagles are toast. I agree, Dan. The Eagles are going nowhere fast. They are nowhere fast. Now the question, Antonio, is what do you do moving forward? What's the big plan moving forward? You've got to look at your roster and find out who you have on your roster that you want to be part of the 2020 season and thereafter. You got a dilemma here. It can't be about just developing one guy, the quarterback. It's got to be about developing Devontae. Devontae has been like Casper the Ghost the last couple of weeks. I mean, this guy is like seen and not heard. David says, let's scoop up Jalen Smith. Yeah, if you give me Jalen Smith with no money attached around it and league minimum stuff, sure. Overpriced player, he's decent. He's probably better than anything that the Eagles have on their current roster right now. HB says everyone knows it, but those that believe Hurts will be next year's starter, hey, man, I don't believe that. Paul loves Rison. Dude, guys, it's just an unbelievable career that he's had. Paul says, plan going forward is we need Louis Riddick as GM over Howie. Hey, let's just go here with this. Let's put this all in perspective here. Howie Roseman, let's put this into the reality room, okay? Guys, let's put this in the reality room here. Howie Roseman ain't going anywhere. He is not going anywhere. We could say all this. We want a new GM. We want a new head coach. We want a new quarterback. Unless something radically changes, that is not happening. Any of those three things. Antonio, Hurts is a bridge quarterback. That's something that was said yesterday. Absolutely. LB says, wouldn't it be a bad pickup for the Texans running back? Why? What are we looking for when you're looking out on the open market right now? What are you looking for in the open market? To try to be competitive in the East? What are you looking for? I'd rather look at my guys that I have on my roster that I drafted. Okay? That would give me also a sense of the people that are evaluating the roster. Every time I see turnover with free agents, you know what I say? Must not have drafted too well. That's why Howie Roseman's not going to go out into the open market and pick guys up off the waiver wire. He's not going to do that. Okay? He is not going to go out in the open market and look at somebody else's mistakes and put them on his team and cut his mistakes. You feel me? He doesn't do what's in the best interest of the Eagles. Howie Roseman does what's in the best interest of himself. It's called job security. We all do it. You're going to save your job before you're going to save someone else's. You think Howie's doing what's in the best interest of the Eagles? Or do you think he's looking out for his legacy? You see, once these guys got a Super Bowl, now it's all about building things around that legacy of having won a Super Bowl in Philly. It's like Theo Epstein. You know, the general manager for, the Red Sox and the Cubs, that guy doesn't have to do anything ever again. Why? They'll build statues of him out front of Fenway and also in Wrigley in Chicago. This guy was the general manager of two places that were starving for a title. He brought a World Series championship to those two cities that were starving for over 100 years to win a World Series. This guy's a legend. Doesn't have to do anything else. Not considered the greatest general manager of all time, but I'll tell you what, he delivered championships in cities that were starving for it. That's legacy. That's all Howie's doing here. Howie hires people in case they have to be used as excuses. Fan since 75. How does he still have job security? 2017, bro. 2017. 2017. That's how he keeps his job security. Super Bowls will do a lot for you. Dave says Hurts will prove you doubters wrong. You want to hear something? Here, Xander, put up David's comment there. Hurts will prove you doubters wrong. David, I can only hope so. I can only hope so. I am not one of these hosts that sits around praying for failure. If Jalen Hurts fails, the organization fails. The fans will have to go through misery for the next 5 years. Who in their right mind wants that? Nobody. I would never root for his failure. You know who you root for people to fail? Jackasses. Good people you don't root for that work hard, want to embody a community, love what they're doing, love their teammates. Teammates love him. Why in their right mind would you root against something like that? You root against Ben Simmons. You don't root against Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is everything that's great in sports. Told he couldn't succeed at Alabama, goes to Oklahoma, puts him in the Final Four. Gets drafted in the second round, doubters all over the joint, including me. But you know what in the back of my mind is, hey, I'll give you a great example of that. Man, I can't be more wrong about Lamar Jackson than I have been with any player I have ever evaluated in my 30 years in broadcasting. Kudos to him. Man, has he proven me wrong. He is a star to watch. He is somebody you want to build your team around, your community around. Out with the inner city kids in Baltimore constantly. Guys playing DB, covering wide receiver kids on the park bench, sitting there talking to kids, playing ball with them. It's really awesome. He is everything that embodies what a franchise quarterback should look like. Same thing with Dak Prescott in Dallas. You don't root for people like that to fail. You root for people like that to succeed. Greg says he has pictures. I'm assuming he's talking Howie Roseman and how he keeps his gig. Blue City Empire. A lot of people are rooting for Daniel Jones to fail, but I'm not. Blue City, man, that last drive last night was atrocious. You got to admit it. Say it, dude. That was terrible last night. In Kansas City, that last drive, he looked like he was completely lost last night. Man, is it coaching? Is it Dave Gettleman? Here's something about Dave Gettleman, the general manager of the Giants. You know, Dave Gettleman, ever since he's been the general manager of that football team, taking over for Reese as GM, he has not been able to figure out the O-line. He cannot build an O-line. How can you tell if the quarterback sucks? Can you really tell if the quarterback sucks when you have an O-line like that? They were terrible last night. Sometimes it just goes around where you just don't have enough good components around you to be successful. You know what I'm saying? Jermaine, appreciate you coming aboard. Thank you, my friend. Hire Adam Schefter as GM. Ugh, another TV guy. I want somebody who's actually built a team. I'll take John Dorsey or Alonzo Highsmith. I'll take somebody like that. Yeah, but damn, one of them is not really a cool dude to get along with. I don't care about that. You know, that's the difference between me and other folks. I'll hire somebody who's a jackass. I'll hire him if he's talented. I'll hire Aaron Rodgers. You may not like Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going to put him on my team. Okay? I'm going to put him on my team. Well, he's not the best teammate. Okay, you're telling me you won't take Aaron Rodgers? No, but okay, just checking. So you'd rather have Jalen Hurts than Aaron Rodgers? Well, man, Jalen's a really nice guy. I ask you again, who would you want as your starting quarterback on your football team? I'm not asking you to date him. I'm asking you, which guy would you want on your football team? Man, well, one guy's just such a tool. Why can't you answer the question? Sometimes people can't answer that question. Jermaine's right. It's all about results. Feelings get thrown out the window. That's right, baby. As soon as the checks come in. Of course, David would take Jalen Hurts. David, not a rip on you, but Jalen Hurts, okay. You're a believer. Fair enough. Fair enough. I may be wrong because we're still trying to figure out if the head coach is the guy moving forward. That is this franchise. You know, is this franchise going to be developed under Nick Sirianni? We're still developing that yet. But they were ready-made for the playoffs. William, you're not talking about the Eagles, I'm assuming. Okay, you're not talking about the Eagles. They were not playoff built. This football team is not playoff built. Zero running game. See what that was there, man. I missed it here. Tom Brady took a losing team to the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers have not won a Super Bowl since 2002. Blue City Empire. Well, when you have a quarterback like that, my friend, okay, and you have the GOAT can work miracles. William, I got it now, but they were ready. You're right, because they had components on defense, and they had people like, you know, Mike Evans, and they had Goodwin. Even O.J. Howard's a heck of a tight end. Then they added Leonard Fournette. You're right. Arians and the coaching staff, they just needed a signal caller. Just shows you, too, man, in some aspects, how close teams are, really, if you get the right guy in the building. Right? All right, I'm going to ask a question. I asked this question on Twitter. Who would you rather have right now as your starting quarterback? And I'm going to play a game with you here. Would you have rather have still had Carson Wentz on this team? Or are you happy with Jalen Hurts? We're going to hit on that. Don't forget Andre Rison in hour number 2. You keep it here on this Tuesday on the National Football Show.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Welcome back. National Football Show. Big Seal shaking him up again. Shake him, shake him, shake him. How you doing? Got to go over to my Twitter page, at Dan Sileo Show. You know, Xander and I were talking prior to going on the air. All we said was that the Eagles were shopping Fletcher Cox, and everyone's like, Sileo, you said he would be traded. I'm like, I never, ever tweeted that. Ever, anywhere on my Twitter page. Wrong again. I never said he would be traded. Hey, this aged well. I'm like, yeah, it did. Numerous teams, Jay Glazer and everybody reported that everyone was after Fletcher Cox. People are just, they make things up. See, 90% of the stuff that's on the internet about me, oh, William, it's crazy, has been made up. You understand that, right? I mean, it's made up. People go, you were fired in San Diego. I was never fired in San Diego. I was never. You said this. Well, that may be true. All right, hey, I asked you a question prior to going into the timeout here. Play a game with me here. Who would you rather have on your team right now as your starting quarterback? Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts? Let me throw this at you here. I want to throw my 5 teams. 5 best NFL teams that I think right now, as we go into week 9 and into the 9th chapter of the NFL season, I got the Buccaneers at 5. Now, look, this is going to wobble and this is going to change. I still think you put the Buccaneers on a neutral site anywhere. When they get Gronk back, they get Antonio Brown back, they get it healthier in their secondary. I still think the Bucs have the best talent, but doesn't it show you every year that the National Football League, folks, hey, man, every year is a different journey, isn't it? I got the Rams at number 4. I think that football team is a really good football team. Quite frankly, I think any one of these 5 teams could win the Super Bowl this year. That's a great thing about the NFL, too. There's no given here. At number 3, I got the Cardinals, probably the lesser of all these other teams, okay, that I feel comfortable saying that they're a Super Bowl contending team. You know, the Cowboys, you know, they're hanging in there. They win with Cooper Rush, number 2, and I got the Packers, number 1. You know, it's funny. I'm looking at that list. Probably the 3 teams that I feel comfortable saying that are probably going to be there to the very end are going to be Rams, Bucks, and Packers. Isn't it funny? They're all NFC teams. I just realized that. Who's the top team in the AFC? It's not Kansas City. Raiders? It's not the Titans, even though they're the number 1 ranked team right now. Isn't it funny? There's no teams in the AFC that I feel comfortable putting in my top 5 right now. I'm trying to think. Again, Kansas City was a no-brainer at the beginning of the year. Now I'm like this. I don't know. Can't be the Patriots, even though they're playing better. I'm trying to – Ravens, I don't know. Right? Titans lose Derrick Henry. Yeah, William, maybe Ravens. I don't know. Out west, Raiders. No John Gruden, and they're winning games. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just don't see it. So I don't really see a dominant team in the AFC. Who comes out of the AFC? Buffalo, maybe. Carlos, maybe there. Buffalo. Chargers, we'll find out this week. Blue City. LB, Rams. Yeah, man. I mean, hey, Trevor, no Derrick Henry, man. Oof. Does that kill? Did they sign Antonio Peterson? Or excuse me, did they sign AD? Antonio Peterson, I mean, AP, did they sign him? I thought I saw that the Titans signed Peterson to a contract. If I'm not mistaken, I could have swore I saw that the Titans were there and they signed Adrian Peterson to a contract. Did they? Did they sign Adrian Peterson? Sorry about that, dude. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah. The guy's been out of the league 1 year and you forget about him already, right? Thank you, David. Thank you. Yeah. By the way, let me throw you my top 4 college teams. The rest of them really, I mean, I guess Oklahoma at 4. Michigan State, Bama, and Georgia. Those are my 4 teams. The rest of them, what about Cincinnati? Dude, they don't play anybody. I give you credit for teams you play. You play against really great opponents every week, you get a lot of latitude with me. You're playing Tulane, SMU, and schools like that. You're not getting a lot of push with me. You play LSU, A&M, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, in consecutive weeks, you're going to get a lot of latitude with me. That, my friends, is a schedule. Okay? Let me ask you this now. Lucio says Hurts needs to be developed. How can you develop him when you don't have anything to develop him with? You don't have enough talent around him. And how long are you going to wait for that? How many Super Bowls do the Cowboys have to win before you understand that? Guess what? You're going to sit there and you're going to be the Cowboys' bitch for the next 10 years. If you sit there, you think Jalen Hurts is ever going to be in the conversation with Dak Prescott. Do you see he wasn't accurate at Alabama? Nick Saban benched his ass at Alabama because he wasn't accurate. His inaccuracy issues have followed him to the NFL. I mean, guys, this has followed him. He's not an accurate quarterback. And he sure as hell doesn't run like Lamar Jackson. Do you know what keeps Lamar Jackson in the game? Do you know what's kept him in the game? Is that Lamar's ability to run the ball has allowed him to stay in the game. And on top of that, it's allowed him to develop his arm. Jalen can't do the things. That's right, William. That guy's one of the most elusive backs in the NFL. He's the best running quarterback. I'll say this to you. Here. Lamar Jackson is by far the best running back in pro football history. He's the best. He is absolutely the greatest. The only other guy I've ever seen that could run like that and as accurate as that was Steve Young. Okay? Was absolutely incredible. Incredible. By the way, the Charger defense will probably be one of the issues and one of the things that the coaching staff for the Eagles will probably go after. And they'll probably attack because they've not been very good against the run. So if I were the Philadelphia Eagles, the number one thing that I would be doing, I would be making sure that I had a game plan where I ran the ball and I had a shit ton of RPOs. LB says Michael Vick. Yeah, but Vick didn't do anything with it. Young won a Super Bowl, couple MVPs. He wasn't in the conversation with Steve Young. I'm talking winning too. Yeah, but William, I'll tell you one thing though, man. That dude could throw the rock down the field. He had a bigger arm than people think. Justin says, I don't see nothing in Hurts. Wait, hey, Justin, let's back up on that for a second here, though. I do. I see things in him. But then again, I see things in Baker Mayfield. But I also see things that I know that he's not going to be a next-level quarterback. Maybe that's the conversation here. Okay? Maybe that's the conversation. Hurts is an NFL quarterback. Let's all agree to that. He's an NFL quarterback. But elite guys win the Super Bowl, right? Unless you have these off stories, Trent Dilfer, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco. Even though Flacco was pretty good in the postseason. Flacco's got a pretty good record in the postseason, guys. You'd be shocked. Actually beat New England a few times at Gillette. Let's see. Hurts could be a great H-back. Yeah, but I don't want to run a gimmick offense. They're already running a gimmick offense. Right? Philly. Hurts isn't what the front office wants. That's the convo people need to have. Our front office has shown that they want a guy who can sling the ball down the field. Then why'd you draft him? Well, wait a minute. Philly? I think you answered that question just now with that comment. They drafted him because they know he could come in and give them an off look on something that teams couldn't prepare for in 1 week. And just like Cooper Rush, you could get a win out of it. Bayou Cassell, I'll tell you one thing, though. I'd rather keep Hurts than trade for Deshaun Watson. That's absurd. That's absurd. What are you, a moralist? That guy's not coming over to your house dating your daughter. If there's no criminal charges against him, I don't have one problem at all with that. I'm not a cop. I'm not a district attorney. I'm not going to judge people when I don't know the issues. And I'm surely not going to take what the media's saying about him because they don't know shit either. They have no idea what the backstory is. So you see what that guy did? That guy called him and made a reference to Bill Cosby. He doesn't know anything about Deshaun Watson. If he's such a criminal, dude, why hasn't the local district attorney arrested him? Okay? Have you read Reddit? Oh my God, it's on it's on a board on the internet. 30 accusers. You know what's crazy about that comment right there that guy Bayou Cassell says? Then why isn't he in jail? Can you imagine if you or I had 30 accusers of sexual misconduct? Oh, and by the way, dude, he's still getting paid $38 million. Okay, wait a minute. So he's still getting paid. He's not been suspended by the league, nor has he been arrested. Wait a minute. Interesting. But he's Bill Cosby, according to you. Oh, okay. Well, you must have more info than I have. Hey, Polly, right. This guy's going to Reddit. It's like the idiots that are on you guys have to go over to my Twitter page, at Dan Sileo Show, and just watch the idiots that are there. I mean, honestly, I should just say this now, go over there right now and just basically say, we're ripping all of you on my show right now. We are ripping all of you. Ripping all of you on the National Football Show. Right now. We are ripping all of you. It's funny. Matthew, it's on the internet. It must be true. That's what my daughter says, right? HB says, but after jail for, well, wait a minute, HB. If this guy's such a criminal, Deshaun Watson, why isn't he in prison? Why isn't he in jail? Why isn't he in jail? By the way, from what I understand of that whole deal, they had asked, here's the latest on Deshaun Watson too. There was a deal on the table, 3 number ones and 2 other assets. They had come down from 3 ones and 3 other assets. Okay? They came to 2. However, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, from what I've been told, wanted Rusty Hardin and Deshaun's people to make some settlements. Non-disclosure. Settlements and payments before today. And Deshaun didn't want to do that. And there was only one team at the table that was willing to go that length, was the Miami Dolphins. So they've backed off, and he'll remain a Houston Texan. Now, here's the thing, though. So if he remains a Houston Texan, Deshaun Watson, you're paying him. He's on the roster, and he's not suspended. Is the NFL going to use this year as a suspended season so that he can be eligible to play next year? I mean, is that how you're going to handle that? It is really a fishy story. It's really a fishy story. Polly says Reddit is useful for insane conspiracy theories. I know. Thank you. Oh, my God almighty, man. People, hey, you know who I was shocked that didn't get moved was Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham had 1 catch for 7 yards. I don't know how many targets he had. You talk about a guy. You know what, though? I'm going to make one point about Odell Beckham. You know what I'm going to say to you about Odell? Has he not been a pretty good teammate in Cleveland? Guy hasn't bitched a lot. For as big a mouth as he has, Odell's been pretty good, don't you think? He has not been a bad teammate at all. He's actually been a pretty damn good teammate. And I'm going to take that into consideration when the upcoming offseason is here, when it comes to potentially looking for a wide receiver that could be somebody special on my football team. You know, prior to this year, I wouldn't want Beckham on my team. But after watching him go through what has to be miserable years in Cleveland, this guy was a superstar with the Giants. Okay? Yeah, but HB, I still think he's a good football player. I just don't think, you know, all of these diva wide receivers are all as special as people think they are. I think what happens is I think a lot of the fantasy football geeks happen to, you know, elevate these guys into being people that they're not. I mean, look at all the big-time wide receivers that play in the NFL. Very few of them have gone to the game. I mean, Julio Jones is gone, but DeAndre Hopkins has never gotten close. Odell Beckham has never gotten close. Any of these big-time guys that supposedly are going over the top, I mean, they haven't really made enough of an impact because I think they're a dime a dozen. When you can win Super Bowls with guys like Amendola and Edelman and guys like that, there is no question that you don't need top-flight wide receivers on your football team. Blue City says Odell Beckham Jr. getting traded to New Orleans. Man, that'd be great. That would be incredible. And get this, as I said, that'd lead me to go like this, man. Hey, man, I'll tell you what, Phillip Rivers, you want to come out of retirement? Who was the last HOF receiver won a Super Bowl? That's a great call. Let me think. Man. Marvin Harrison? Colts? That's a great call. The last Hall of Fame wide receiver to win a Super Bowl. Harrison won with the Colts. Man, That's great. New England hasn't had one wide receiver go to the Hall of Fame. And Gronk's a tight end, so hasn't had one Super Bowl winning wideout. I can't think of it. Moss didn't win a Super Bowl there. They didn't win. Okay, listen. I want to get back to that topic. Hines Ward, that could be. Hey, I want to get back to that topic. I'm going to tell you why I would want Wentz still on the Eagles instead of Jalen Hurts. We'll do that next. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Welcome back. National Football Show, Dan Sileo. Hour number 2. Bad Moon Rison, Andre Rison. He's on the Hall of Fame ballot for 2022. We will talk with him. What an interesting life. By the way, I love that topic that someone just threw out there right now. Would you trade Jalen Hurts for Carson Wentz, or would you do vice versa? You would never trade Wentz for Hurts. Okay, you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. Nobody would. HB, we asked a question in the last block. What wide receiver that won a Super Bowl was the last Hall of Fame guy? He never won a Super Bowl in New England, dude. Everyone is under the misconception there. He never won a Super Bowl in New England. By the way, Xander, I got a favor. Retweet that tweet that I had about Fletcher Cox if you could find it, because I can't find it. And just retweet it so that people could see what I said. People were all over the internet going like, Sileo said Fletcher Cox was going to be. I said I never in a billion years ever said that. I said they were shopping him, which turned out to be true. But people add the narrative in that they were like, going to deal him. No, they were taking calls. That's all it is. All right. I asked this question prior to going into the timeout here. Would you rather have Jalen Hurts right now or Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback? I take Wentz in a second. Here's the problem with Carson Wentz, and I feel many people out there when it comes to talking about Carson Wentz. Matt Hatter says Wentz got hurt a lot and never won a playoff game and quit on the team, okay? MC says Wentz has more arm talent. He reads and has a better feel. He's proved that he can do it at a high level. Do you know the quarterback over the last 4 weeks that has the highest quarterback rating is Carson Wentz? Okay. Antonio Brown's not a Hall of Famer. Wentz turned soft after he got hurt in 17. Carl says, turnover machine. Here's the problem with Carson Wentz versus everyone else. Carson Wentz can be going like this. And tell me if you guys subscribe to this. Carson Wentz goes like this, plays well, plays well, plays well, plays well. And all of the things that he has done so well for the last 4 weeks, within a matter of 8 minutes, all of that gets erased. Because his mistakes are so fucking glaring. And they're so reckless. And they're so terrible. That's all people see. They don't see he's still on pace to have a great year this year. I know someone will go, well, they're 3-5. I get it. I understand. But now with the injury to Derrick Henry, that Titans team is going to come back to them. They just need to keep plugging along. Okay? Best thing happened for the Eagles is, get this, Derrick Henry getting hurt. Because it also keeps the Colts in the division race. If Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt, Titans today, right now, are the number 1 seed in the AFC if the playoffs were to start tonight. Okay, so that's going to change over the next month. That's going to change. They can get their record back to 5-5. They're going to be in the conversation. Ernest, you're right. Colts do have a tough schedule. You're right. They got the Jets on Thursday, though. That could at least get them to maybe 4-5. I don't know. The greatness of Mike White. That dude throws for over 400 yards. I know, man, right? East Camden for life has a great comparison. Carson Wentz is just like Tony Romo. I always thought the same thing about Romo. Romo was so reckless with the football. I never put him in the category of being a superstar quarterback, even though Jerry Jones thinks so. 23-1, I'm still saying to you, in that division's going to come back. Okay? Jermaine Wentz too much hero ball. Agreed. His mistakes are so... It's like Sam Darnold, too. Did you see that comment that Bradshaw made? Terry Bradshaw says that Sam Darnold's the greatest quarterback in Carolina Panther history. I was like this. You must have forgot about Cam Newton. Hell, even Jake Delhomme got to a Super Bowl. I mean, I was like, really? You're kidding, right? I mean, Sam Darnold's done nothing yet as a Carolina Panther. Nothing. Cam Newton won the MVP and got a team to a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz is Jake Plummer. Hey, 23-1. I actually think Jake wasn't all that bad. Jason says, crazy to think Wentz is anywhere close to Romo even. Well, I don't know, man. Tony Romo won 3 playoff games in his entire 17-year career. I'm not seeing his massive postseason success, even though he talks like he's Troy Aikman. In the, you know what's funny about Tony Romo when he's on TV? He talks like he's Troy Aikman. That's why I love Troy Aikman. Okay? I mean, I love Troy Aikman because Troy Aikman's actually done it and won 3 Super Bowls. But Tony Romo talks like, he's Troy Aikman. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Get this. Troy Aikman has as many Super Bowl wins as Romo has playoff wins. That should tell you all you need to know about Tony Romo. Right? He's no Troy Aikman. Oh, that's for damn sure. I'm an Eagles fan. I'd take Romo over McNabb. Ooh. You would take Romo over McNabb? Jason, you would really take Romo over McNabb? I never thought. That's a great question. Who would you want to quarterback your team? Tony Romo or Donovan McNabb? Man, McNabb, I think, is better. I think McNabb is better, man. I take McNabb. Okay? Who would you take, McNabb or Randall Cunningham? Okay? Who would you take, Randall Cunningham or McNabb? McNabb got to a Super Bowl. Personally, I think Donovan is a borderline Hall of Fame guy. Yeah, McNabb got to 5 NFC championship games. Man, that's a tremendous record. That is a tremendous record. Man, Cunningham was a great player too, though. He really was. Okay? I mean, he really was. By the way, I want to show you guys something here. And this goes into Andy Reid and his Chiefs. What do you guys think's wrong with Andy Reid right now and his Chiefs? And please, don't do this. You guys are too smart for this to come on this program. Don't say that the league's caught up with Patrick Mahomes. Please don't do that. Please. That's not what's happened here. Now, they may got a better sense of the tendencies of the team. But where was Travis Kelce last night? Where was he? I mean, was he even in the game last night? I saw a couple targets. I saw a couple misses, too. I saw a couple drops. There you go, Jeff. Jeff's kind of touched on it a little bit. Did they overpay for Mahomes? Absolutely not. I'm not telling you the guy's not one of the absolute elite guys, if not the elite guy in the world. Bobby, I thought that Romo had 3 playoff wins. Here's what's happened to Kansas City. Talent around the team is eroded. They're not continuing to upgrade the talent around the team. They got so caught up in what they were doing offensively. Hill, and am I wrong when I say this to you guys? Tell me if you think I'm wrong. When they lost Kareem Hunt and they lost 18% of their offensive production, when Kareem Hunt got in trouble and he was taken off that team, they've never been the same. Kareem Hunt was kind of like the Le'Veon Bell for Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. And it's not so much that they've caught up to Kansas City, but do you know what the league has to do now? They have to prepare for less talented people on the team. The defense is not the same. It's gotten old quick. The O-line has been shuffled. There's no continuity in the O-line, and they don't run the ball. And then you combine that with turnovers and penalties and pre-snap penalties. That's why you're 4-4. I'm watching that game. That's right, Thomas. One-dimensional. KC signed Ingram. Melvin Ingram could rush the passer. Might rejuvenate his career in Kansas City. That's a great place to go and play. Thomas is right, man. No risk it, no biscuit. Unfortunately, you've got to be able to run the ball. What won a championship in Tampa Bay last year for the Buccaneers? Was Playoff Fournette. Playoff Fournette was the guy that carried the mail for them, and they played lights-out defense. What's been a little bit of the kick in the side for the Buccaneers this year? They've been injured in the secondary. And it's what hurt them. Yeah, but Matt Hatter, I think Kansas City needed a running back. Man, they need some versatility in that offense. They're just really, they're no risk it, no biscuit kind of thing, chucking it down the field. You see how Patrick Mahomes was impatient. And by the way, I'm going to show you something on one thing that Patrick Mahomes is doing now that he wasn't asked to do before. And now I know why he wasn't the number 1 overall pick. Don't forget, Bad Moon Rison, Andre Rison will join us in hour number 2. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Welcome back, National Football Show. Dan Sileo here, hour number 2. Thank you so much for coming aboard with us. By the way, do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button there. You guys have been spectacular doing that. So thank you guys so much. You guys, each and every single day, are making this show one of the most popular shows there is right now on the internet. And we appreciate it because, we talk football, but we kind of talk everything, right? And we so thank you for making this show what it is. By the way, Andre Rison, Bad Moon Rison, will be at the bottom of the hour. He's got a new book out. Let me get it wide open. And, look at this. Lisa Left Eye Lopez, his relationship with her, Tupac Shakur, going broke. He's on the list for finalists for the NFL's Hall of Fame. What an absolutely great football player. And we will talk with him and get his thoughts. Look, if Andre Rison played in today's NFL, man, that guy'd be another 1,500-yard receiver every year. What a great football player. And by the way, his Michigan State Spartans are playing some lights-out football, so that'll be at the bottom of the hour. We so appreciate you guys sticking around with us here. So please hit that like button. If you've missed any of the show, please watch it a little bit later on. All right. We've been kind of hitting on a little bit here. Today was the trading deadline, and we had put out there that, again, that Fletcher Cox was on the open market. Looks like the Eagles were not able to move him. Looks like that the Deshaun Watson deal, they couldn't get a resolution on any of those cases. So it looks like he's going to stand pat. You're going to try to get as many assets as you possibly can for a player like that. Nick Caserio, the general manager of the Houston Texans, in my opinion, has done it right here. Why only have one person at the table? Why would the Miami Dolphins go out and negotiate against themselves? Why would they do that? So now in the offseason, maybe you get a chance to get some resolution to some of these cases against Deshaun, and maybe you're going to get more teams that are going to be able to tolerate some of the backlash that any city is going to give an organization when you have these kind of accusations against a player. Okay? So I would say this. I would say personally that the Texans did the correct thing here. I think they absolutely did the correct thing here. So, again, we're kind of hitting on a whole bunch of stuff. I want to hit on Andy Reid a little bit more here. And I want to hit on why the football team has, and maybe a little bit of what we saw in Philadelphia at the end with Andy Reid is starting to play itself out in Kansas City. So follow me here. Kansas City's not even the best 4-4 team now in the AFC. They're not the best 4-4 team. What's happened? Well, with any type of success like Andy had in Philly and Andy's having in Kansas City, you want more autonomy to make picks. You want to have the ability to pick coaches. You want to have the ability to be able to go out in the draft and find the guys that you need. Well, when you're a head coach, in my opinion, you think Bruce Arians does any of that stuff? I know Belichick is friends with many of the college coaches around the country. When Urban Meyer was at Florida, he was always in Gainesville. He's always at Alabama. Him and Nick Saban are dear friends. They go back a ways, though. The problem with Andy is Andy has fallen in love with so much with what they're doing with their toy, with Patrick Mahomes, that they have done the same thing that New England went through with Brady. You're just not putting enough pieces around him. And I'm going to tell you what's happened and what has become evident with defensive coordinators. Let me ask you guys this question. Why do you think Patrick Mahomes wasn't the number one selection in the NFL draft the year he was drafted? Why do you guys think he wasn't the first pick? Why do you think? What? Just give me one reason that you think that Patrick Mahomes wasn't taken as the number one overall player. By the way, guys like Baker Mayfield were taken number one. They don't think that Baker made the number one pick. Peterson had too much input into draft picks, too. Rieger, Hurts were Doug's guys. I don't know about that. That's not what I've been told. Smile says accuracy. Too erratic at times. Jermaine and Smile, turnover prone. Jason, if you believe that Doug had any say in the personnel, come on, Jason. You know it's all Howie. Okay? You guys have hit on it. Here's what's happened to Patrick Mahomes. Watch this. Sidearm passes, left-hand passes, play school football, rec football. It's not integrity football. Jimmy Johnson said this to me a long time ago. Thomas says bad talent evaluators. Jimmy Johnson said this a long time ago. Who would you guys rather have as your running back? Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders? Who would you rather have as your running back? This will tell me a little bit about you guys and who you pick here. Who would you rather have as your running back? East Camden for Life says Mahomes about making the highlight reel. Matt Hatter, Smith, James, Barry, William, Barry, Carl, Emmett. I'll tell you who I'd rather have. HB says Smith gets the hard yards. That's kind of where I'm going. Smith was more downhill. Dwayne, I always thought that same thing. Sanders behind the Cowboy O-line. I don't think that was it. How about this? Jimmy Johnson said this to me. And he also said this about Patrick Mahomes. And Andy Reid hasn't figured this out yet. Here's why. When you have a guy like Barry Sanders on your football team, you have got to accept the fact that he's going to have minus plays. There's going to be minus yard plays. How many times did you see Barry Sanders caught behind the line of scrimmage? How many times have you seen Patrick Mahomes have an interception or have a play where he gets sacked or something where he has a minus play? With Emmett, did you ever see Emmett have a minus play? Did you ever see Emmett? Was Emmett as talented? I don't know, man. This is what you would have with Emmitt Smith. 5 carries, 8 carries, 9 carries, 10 carries, or 10 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, 11 yards. He never was a breakaway guy like Barry. 15 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards. You'd look up, he had 28 carries and 156 yards against you. And you're like, Jesus criminy, where'd that? Because he never had minus plays. He ran like that at Escambia in high school. He ran like that when he was at Florida, and he ran surely like that when he was with the Cowboys. Patrick Mahomes makes too many behind the line of scrimmage minus plays. Okay? He makes too many behind the line of scrimmage plays that get you in trouble. A couple pre-snap penalties, a turnover, you're 4-4. And for the record, I'm not throwing shade here in any way whatsoever on the greatness of Barry Sanders. He was a teammate of mine. Barry's one of the sweetest guys you could ever be around and one of the greatest teammates of all time. Okay? One of the greatest teammates. But my point is, when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes on your team, you've got to accept you're going to have minus yardage plays because he doesn't play in structure. Andy Reid, it's kind of like schoolyard football. It doesn't have a lot of integrity to it. And teams have figured that out. Defensive coordinators know he's going to lose his patience because he doesn't want to go underneath. You see that first drive they had? How did it end? It ended in a football going off the helmet and the Giants getting an interception in the end zone for a touchback. The Giants knew there was going to be a mistake made in there because he'd lose his patience, because it's not his style. It's not his character, who he is as a player. Emmett was completely different and polar opposite to Barry. Barry liked a spectacular play, and he was great at it. Emmett, 10 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards, 9 yards. Like I said, you'd look up, he had 25 carries for 135 yards. You're like, Jesus Christ, where'd this come from? Okay? It was crazy. Andy now has to fix that. You saw even in the postgame last night, you saw this. They liked the result. They hated the effort, the Chiefs. They just hated the effort because they know what they did against the Giants last night is not going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. You've got to have some team structure and team identity and integrity and how you approach going forward offensively. That's why I was saying this with the Eagles. Dude, the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles is the general manager. It's not the coach, because we're still trying to figure out, what do the Eagles do best? Okay? You can't take off of one game because they ran the ball 46 times against a horrible run defense in Detroit, that's their identity. Now, do I think it's their identity and that's the best part of their team? The best part of the Philadelphia Eagles is their D-line and O-line. And it's been that way since 17. There's chips in it now, and it's not the same because they don't have the same backers, nor do they have the same integrity at running the football that they had in 17. The difference is really the components around those fronts. O-line is pretty good. D-line is pretty good. But look at the linebackers. Look at the running game. That's what's killing the integrity of the offense and their approach because they can't figure it out yet. And they have an inaccurate quarterback. When you have inaccuracies at the quarter, but here, so Howie Roseman knew that he had a quarterback that was evaluated for not being very accurate. He drafts a wideout. Why? Some of you are going to go, Sills, Devontae's a hell of a player. I never said he wasn't. Hell of a players can be put on bad teams and made to be look bad. And this is what you have here. Okay? That's what you have here. Jason, hating Howie Roseman, Eagle fans, it's wasted energy. It's wasted energy. That's completely wasted energy. He's not going anywhere. This guy's a rock star in April. He's got 11 picks as of right now. And who's to say at the end of the year they won't trade Fletcher Cox to somebody at the end of the year and maybe get a 3 and a 4 for him or something like that. And or maybe a 3 and a 5 or something. And this guy turns out to have 13 picks. They're not done moving pieces. They're not done. They're going to get rid of that Rieger kid in the offseason. They're going to try to move him. I wouldn't be shocked if they were trying to move him towards the trade deadline. And again, like I said, you got a quarterback here that here's something else that really you have to take into consideration as you're going forward and building your team. Look at every team in the NFC East except for the Cowboys. Every team needs a quarterback. Or you're trying to figure out if you have one. Daniel Jones last night, I don't know. I haven't seen it since. To me, he's Dave Brown 2.0. You know what's funny about Washington? They haven't even made a concerted effort to go after anybody, at least that we know, because they're fighting too much internal stuff with the league and all those emails and Bruce Allen and all that stuff going on with inside the organization with Daniel Snyder. They're not focused on winning. How could the Washington team be in a position where they're in any place right now looking for a quarterback when they can't even figure out what the hell's going on inside their own organization, right? Ken says you'd be lucky to get a 7th rounder for Rieger. Hey, that kid sucks. He's terrible. He wouldn't be on my football team. I'd kick that dude's ass off my team, and I'd make him take a camel home. Okay? I'd make that dude take a camel home, not even a bus. Matthew says, will Daniel Snyder be forced to sell? You know what's crazy, Matthew? I mean, you made Jerry Richardson sell that team, Carolina, because of all the sexual misconduct with employees that were in that Carolina Panther organization. But you know what the NFL did? The NFL allowed Daniel Snyder to buy out all his minorities, shareholders, and now he owns complete control of the Washington thing. That's what I'm going to start calling it. The Washington thing. Okay? The Washington thing. Thomas says, I wish Jeffrey would get the blame he deserves for the Eagles' demise. He signs off on all Howie Roseman's deals. Thomas, he's the owner, though. He ain't going anywhere. Front office of the NFL on Park Avenue would love that dude. Dwayne, I think you're being a little too hard, really? That kid sucks. Okay? Tennessee needs to pick up Ronald Jones from Tampa. Fournette's the starter. Man, they ain't getting rid of any of those backs. No way. I want two backs behind a 44-year-old quarterback. Tom Brady goes down for any stretch. I can run the ball and win games like that. No way. He is those two backs on the Bucs are my safety net. Okay? Hey, and by the way, Carl, Richardson was one of the absolutely most powerful guys in the NFL at the time, too, when they took that team away from the family. Oh, Jermaine says owning a team is a license to print money. I told you the story. When Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys, I was there in 1989. Team was $150 million. Today it's worth $6 billion. In 30 years, look at the value it's gone up. Look at what the Glazers did with the Buccaneers. How about this one? The Spanoses. They bought the Chargers off of Gene Klein for $54 million. The team today is worth $3.5 billion. And they're nobody. Look at Shea Khan, even with the Jags. That team was worth very little. It's the least expensive NFL franchise. Today, that football team is worth about $3 billion. In essence, that the revenue of the NFL owners, when that calendar turns every year, you know it goes up 25%, the ownership of the teams, because the television packages go up. Every NFL team makes $300 million off of TV, no matter if you finish 17-0 or 0-17. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No way. It just doesn't matter. I'm looking at this number here. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. So Howie Roseman really has 11 picks as of November 2nd. Man, that's scary. That's scarier than Halloween. It really is. All right. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to be catching up with our friend Andre Rison. Bad Mood Rison's got a brand new book out, Wide Open. I cannot wait to talk to one of the most polarizing players of his era. And on top of that, his Michigan State Spartans are having a hell of a season. We're going to catch up with him. Back to you. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Welcome back. National Football Show. Your boy Dan Sileo. Andre Bad Moon Rison is going to be joining us real quick. You see LeBron James on the internet now, what he's doing? Free OBJ. Wants him out of Cleveland, too. See what the father did? The father posted something. And he also is like, look, it's just not working. It's okay, guys. It's not really a rip on Odell Beckham. Sometimes when you go to places, it just doesn't work. The scheme's wrong. The quarterback can't get you the ball. That's been the case in Cleveland. It's been a bad marriage, man. And when we get Andre Rison on, I'm sure he'll say the same thing. How many times have you gone to places and the quarterback just couldn't get you the rock? It limits you. I mean, the targeting and all that stuff. I mean, it's some guys are better suited, and Cleveland has been built for what? Cleveland has been built to run the ball, which essentially means this. You need a quarterback in Cleveland like Troy Aikman. Third down efficiency. You're not going to throw the ball deep down. Michael Irvin was not a Blazer. Okay, but he was a third down possession wide out, and they ran the ball with Emmett with that old line. Troy was never going to throw for 4,000 yards in his career. He was never going to put those gigantic numbers up. And you talk about, a perfect fit. It's just not fitting. Here, I say this thing about Devontae Smith going to Philadelphia. It's not that Devontae. Can you imagine Devontae in Green Bay? Or Devontae with Tom Brady, or Devontae Smith with a qualified and professional signal caller? He'd probably be averaging 10 targets, and he would probably be averaging nearly 80 or 90 yards a game because they would find a way to get him the football because those guys know what they're doing when it comes to throwing the football. It's harder than you think, folks. You just can't go like this. Well, let me take this player. You may not have the personnel around you to be able to utilize your strengths and weaknesses. I mean, putting a football team together is like putting a chess set together. You play checkers in college football. Okay? You play chess in football. Every piece has its own distinction. Every player that's on the team is reliant on the next guy. It's more of a chess game in the NFL than it is in the college game. The college game is like checkers, okay? It's one move. You're all moving forward. You know what I'm saying? In chess, it's more strategic. It's more, does this guy fit in our system? William's right. It's the ultimate team sport, man. It's the ultimate scenario where, watch this. Like I said, when a guy gets to the NFL, there is no question you are already talented. So when I hear people go, this guy's really a superstar talent, and I always go like this, really? Well, that's a given. Guys who get drafted in the NFL, at the end of the day, of course you're gifted. You wouldn't be in the NFL. You wouldn't be in the NFL draft. So you all come in as great athletes. Okay? You all are in that position now where you do this. Does this guy fit? That's why when you look at Howie's drafts, some of the pieces that he has gone after, he doesn't have a feel for the draft. And when you find the Jordan Mailatas in the 7th round and people like that, those guys fall into you with one distinction. You know what that is? Best available. Best available. And, people have said this here before too. Great draft people. Hey, man, first and second rounders, of course. Those are going to be your premium guys. But where you make your ball teams are 3 and down. And back in the day when I was drafting, man, there were 12 rounds back in the NFL. And you built your team, and you needed those guys on your football team. Not everybody with a salary cap sport can be a billionaire. You've got to have guys on your roster that are economically able to keep that roster and keep that salary cap afloat, because if you need to make a move as you get closer to the trading deadline, or if you're a team that maybe loses an asset, you got to be able to go out there and maybe potentially make a trade. Like, look at Derrick Henry and look at the Titans. They're in a pickle here. Because get this, their quarterback that they have on that team, that's not the bell cow of that team. The bell cow of the Titans was Derrick Henry. That's why I still think Carson Wentz and that Colts team are still in this thing. Because I don't think that Ryan Tannehill is going to be able to keep that thing afloat. I just don't. I don't think they have enough. Now, I'll tell you what, Julio Jones and the kid Brown at the wideout positions, those guys are beast. And those guys are spectacular football players. But I just don't know if Adrian Peterson, and I don't know what he has left. Can you imagine if he goes in there? And Adrian Peterson has shocked us before. He's done things before that we've never seen before. But if he goes in there and he can just hold this thing down until Derrick Henry gets back, I believe it's a broken foot. Man, I'll tell you what, they're going to be a frightening football team as they get closer to the playoffs if he's able to get back and play. So I listen, and I get where people are going with Carson Wentz here. Wentz has played really great football. He's played great football over the last 4 weeks. But I'll tell you, man, he had 8 horrific minutes on Sunday. That interception that he had, I mean, I thought they were going to get it into the overtime, and I surely believed, without a doubt, that football team was going to get an opportunity to go in. And I really believed that they were going to get a chance to take it into overtime and win that ball game and get their record right where they needed to be. Man, and I said it in the last hour, he's a guy, when he makes these incredible mistakes, they are just glaring mistakes that he makes too. So we'll see. Matt Hatter, Colts fans want to bench him. For who? Okay, for who? Williams right. Need the Colts to be in it to keep Wentz playing. Correct. Because I'll tell you, if the Colts start to get out of this thing, what will happen? Chris Ballard, the general manager, will say, you know what, man, let's rest the kid. Let's not play him the rest of the season out. And remember this, too. It's a contingency pick. So if they're not in it, you think the Colts are going to want to surrender a first-rounder for the kid? No way. Absolutely no way are they going to want to do that. Okay? No way are they going to want to do that. All right. Guys, I've been looking forward to this. You know, back in my days in the 80s, man, there were 3 wide receivers. Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice, and Bad Moon Rison. And I will tell you this. Make no mistake about it. Andre Rison was synonymous with throwing the football around the field. And I got to tell you, we're really privileged to have him on here with us now. He's got a brand new book out there called Wide Open, Bad Mood Rison, Andre Rison. How you doing, man? Appreciate you coming aboard, Andre.
Hey, appreciate it, fellas.
Thank you so much for coming aboard. Hey, Andre, you got to love what's going on with Michigan State, huh? Okay, let's see if
one more time. We got a connection like in and out, but it's gonna pop in.
Okay, so let's hey Xander, let's see if we can get this thing a little bit here, a little bit better connection here. Let's see if we can get a better connection here. I want to get Andre in here, see if we can get that connection in here again. So let's see if we can catch up with him here and get an opportunity. How we doing here? Good?
Okay, what about right now?
Fantastic. How about them Spartans?
It's going in and out. We got to talk quick.
Hey, how about them Spartans?
Every time you say so.
Okay. All right, it looks like this is we're having a little tough connection here on this here. Okay, let's see if we can make it happen here. Let's take a time out here and let's see if we can reconnect. If not, maybe we have to reschedule. Let's see if we can do this. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies.
All right, back here on the National Football Show. Let's see if we got a better connection here with our friend Andre Rison. Andre, how you doing, my friend? I don't believe this is happening here. I think we're having too bad a connection here. So maybe what we're going to do here is reschedule here. It's just not happening. So we'll see if maybe we can get another date here. So yeah, Xander, let's just get another time because it's not happening. I don't want to keep going back and forth here. I'd rather sit around here and talk a little football with everybody else here too. So again, we appreciate Andre trying to make the effort with us, but we're not going back and forth like that here. So Xander, great job though. We appreciate you here with us. Again, one of the questions that we asked, again, we're going forward here for the rest of the season. There are 9 games left. Okay? 9 games left. What do you want to see with this Eagles team for the rest of the way out? There's going to be no more additions being added. There's going to be nothing that do you play Jalen the rest of the way? And let's just see and let the chips fall where they may? How do you go forward here? Okay? How do you go forward here with this? No, man. It's all good, man. No. It's all good. Bad Moon is one of the best players of all time. Yeah, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it, man. We'll figure it out. We'll get him on another time. Okay? That's a great one. Have you seen any improvements from Hurts through 8 games? I love that topic, James. Let's use that. Have you seen any improvement? Have you seen any improvement with Jalen from last year to this year through these first 8 games? Have you? Have you seen any improvement? Let me think. His accuracy. What would you grade his accuracy here? What would you grade his accuracy? A, B, C, D, F. I say it's a C. Reading defenses. C. I can't. D. Pocket presence. Pocket presence. Man, these are low grades, dudes. D. King Dave says D. So accuracy, C. And I think I'm being fair. I think I'm being a little too generous. Reading defenses, D. Pocket presence, D. Carl says experience. I don't know what that means, though. If I'm quantifying it, putting it into an evaluation here. Let's be NFL. Let's be NFL draft people here. Okay? What's the number one thing you want in your quarterback? What would be the number one thing? Well, I think he's got to be accurate. Okay? He's got to be accurate. Okay? And we just said hit at anything. I'm being over generous with that. He's not reading the defenses. Now, is that because of play calling and because of the type of offense that they've designed around him? Carl, that's another good one. Managing games. Can he manage a game? And think about this for a second, Carl. I don't really think he managed this last game. I think they took the football out of his hands, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think they took the football out of his hands and they just ran the ball 46 times. So, I mean, it's, to me, these are all low grades, C, D, F. C for managing a game. HB says Hurts defense team could have hold you. Hurts is better than Mac Jones. Probably still will. I don't think Jalen Hurts is better than Mac Jones. Mac Jones and Tua Tagovailoa were the reasons he was asked to transfer. East Camden for Life says DF man. Well, then what are we talking about here? So we're going to go and know this. When you put a quarterback like that with those low grades, in how do you develop anybody else around the roster, especially on the offensive side of the football? How do you do that? Okay? How do you do that? And so, I just don't see how you can develop the rest of the team. I'll take Mac Jones any day right now. Mac Jones, by the way, I'll tell you, man, Boomer Esiason said it. He may end up being the best quarterback in this previous draft of all the players that we've seen. Okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, moving forward, what the Eagles are going to keep rolling him out there. For what reason? Maybe to raise his value up in trade? Well, there's no question, Ken. Belichick's influence on the quarterback has been incredible, especially what they did this past week to the Chargers. Disagree, it's the Patriot system. So Lachey, you're a firm believer that if a coach draws up X's and O's, okay, he draws up X's and O's, anybody should be able to go in and have the same type of success that Tom Brady had? Is that what you're saying? Then why, the system that's down in Tampa right now was almost identical to the system that Jameis Winston had. Tom went in there and gave a little bit more of a couple twerks. They stopped throwing the ball down the field as much because that was one of the reasons why Jameis had a big turnover ratio, was because no risk it, no biscuit. That's Bruce Arians' mentality. East Camden said that Jalen was better last year. You know why, though? East Camden, they didn't know anything about him. They really didn't have game film on him. They have been able to get film on him and know what his strengths and weaknesses are. They've been able to put a game plan together for him. Lachey says Winston lacked discipline. Okay. Is that why he played a lot better in New Orleans? That could be. He still had 30 touchdowns. And don't forget, he also had 5,000 passing yards. Okay. He also had 5,000 passing yards when he did that. He was like part of a 30-30 club that nobody wants to be part of. He had 30 turnovers and you had 30 touchdowns, and you throw for 5,000 yards. Not quite the club you want to be involved in. Hurts playing better than Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. Yeah, okay. I don't know about Trevor. I think Trevor Lawrence is actually playing a lot better over the last couple weeks. Daniel Jones is a better passer than Hurts. That's a given. One thing about Daniel Jones of the Giants is an accurate quarterback. He's an accurate guy. Okay? He is totally an accurate guy. His decision-making process and that atrocious offensive line in front of him. The Giants' issues right now are clearly in front of the quarterback. That O-line, Dave Gettleman, as I said a couple segments ago, Dave Gettleman has not been able to figure out the O-line. They have not been able to draft guys to help out anybody. And plus, when you lose Saquon Barkley, when you put that out there and you're not able to build an offensive line, Bobby says Wentz rookie season completion 62-4, 14 interceptions, 16 touchdowns. So you think Hurts is better than Wentz? I don't. Steven says Drew Bledsoe before Brady and Matt Castle also was there when Brady was out. And yes, it was the system. I completely disagree. Players make a system. Coaches don't make a system. Okay? Bill Belichick may never have another winning season again as head coach. I don't care what kind of freaking system you have. 49ers ran that system, that same system, West Coast offense. But after Steve Young and Joe Montana left, place fell to shit. You know why? How come the Karmazis of the world or any of those other guys that they drafted never turned out to be anybody? Because they didn't have the right player at the signal caller. You had a whole boatload of years with Montana and Young. Okay? You had Montana and Young. And then after that, they had a bunch of nobody quarterbacks that they drafted, and they tried to find a guy. Vince Lombardi never coached the Bengals. I think you mean Paul Brown. Lombardi coached the Washington Redskins. And he had Sonny Jurgensen, and they did have a winning season when he went to Washington. Vince retired as the head coach of the Packers after they won the second Super Bowl, and he became the general manager, and he turned it over to another guy, and then they offered him get this. You know how Lombardi left the Packers? Lombardi was offered 5% of the Washington Redskins. Preston Marshall offered him 5%. And he said, okay, I'll take it. So when Vince took over as the head coach of the Washington Redskins, the Lombardis owned 5% of the Washington Redskins when he died. Isn't that crazy? By the way, Ken, he was offered the Eagles job, and Wellington Mayer told Lombardi not to take the Eagles job. He was initially offered the Eagles gig when he was offensive coordinator in New York. How's that for you? Lombardi was offered the Eagle gig, and Wellington Mayer told him not to take the Eagle job because ownership wasn't good enough. Yeah, monkey mind. It's a true story. And the other Lombardi story, because, Andy Robustelli's a family member, and he told me all these stories. One of the big dreams of Lombardi wanted to coach the Army team because Red Blank was his idol. And he was never offered the job because he was Italian. That's what he felt. And President Kennedy actually called him and said, hey, Vince, I know you've won a couple championships with the Packers. Would you like to be the head coach of the of Army? And he politely declined and said, thank you very much. It was always, something that he wanted to be offered the job. And he actually wanted the job, but after Red Blank retired, they never really pursued it. And so he went on to win all those Super Bowls. A monkey mind. Think of that for a minute, man. Yeah, no, the Eagle job was offered to him. But the Giants, another reason to hate the Giants, right? Matty says Hurts can be plugged into manage an offense. Hey, Matty, I'll say this to you. You put Jalen Hurts in the Cleveland Browns system, I think he does the same thing that Baker Mayfield is doing. Okay? Monkey Mind says Lombardi got into fights at seminary school because of the racism. He did. He did. He went to Fordham, which is a Jesuit school. And it's true. Hey, Bobby goes, who needs Lombardi? We got Sirianni Lombardi. Lachey, he goes, I disagree. Mayfield is terrible. Yeah, but what are they doing, Lachey, to Baker Mayfield? They're taking the ball out of his hands on third down. They would rather, get this, if there's a 3rd and 10 and they're on the minus 50 side of the field, okay, what do they do on 3rd and long? They run it now. They don't let him throw the ball. They don't want turnovers. So they've actually taken the ball out of his hands. So, yeah. Hey, man, no, absolutely. So watch this. If you put Jalen Hurts in that Cleveland offense, no way. East Camden, see, that's the big mistake that you make here. You know how many people can run that RPO in the NFL? There's really only one guy that can run that RPO, and it's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's the only guy that can run that effectively. Baju Cassell says Cooper Rush didn't play very well despite generating 320 yards of offense. Yeah, but dude, you're missing the point. This guy came off the bench and won a game against Minnesota that Minnesota had to win. They had to win. They were desperate straits to win a game. I disagree with that. If you could get a win from your backup quarterback, man, that gives me, and because the NFC East sucks so bad, you give me another week to potentially sit Dak Prescott as his calf gets a little better, man. Yes, Birdman, thank you for reminding me. Hey, guys, please do me a great favor. Please like the show. If you missed any of it, make sure that you rewatch it a little bit later on. I apologize again about Andre Rison and the connection. We'll see if we can make sure that we catch up with him down the line here because I really would like to have a conversation with him. He's one of the most polarizing guys that you could possibly have on a show, and he was just a tremendous football player back in the day. So we surely hope that we get a chance to catch up with him again. Let's see here. Ugly wins are a win. Hey, Ken, here's the thing in the NFL. It's not like college football. This is not a beauty pageant. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it's not a beauty pageant. In college football, it's a beauty pageant. If, how you win, look at Cincinnati. I have dropped Cincinnati from number 2 in my polls, I think down to number 6 or 7. You can't beat shitty teams, barely, and think that I'm going to put you ahead of somebody from the Southeastern Conference or the Big Ten. Never happened. Okay? Never happened. That's not going to happen on my watch. Well, Cincinnati, and see what people do in college football, they do this. Well, they're undefeated. I don't care. If Cincinnati played in the Southeastern Conference, what do you think their record would be? What do you think their record would be today? If Cincinnati Bearcats played in the SEC, 7-3, something like that, 2 losses, you're not going undefeated in that conference. Georgia's going to have a hell of a time if they have to play Alabama again in the SEC championship game in Atlanta. Okay? They're going to have a hell of a time. Bama's got to win that game too, by the way. Can't have 2 losses because I don't believe you're going to put a 2-loss team in the Final Four. You know what's going to be crazy about that? 2 best teams in the country. The 2 best teams in the country are Bama and Georgia. And one of those teams is going to have 2 losses maybe. And you're going to keep them out. You're going to put a lesser team in and a lesser team's going to win the national title. As I said to you, there's 3 teams really this year that I've seen that look pretty damn good. You know what it is? Michigan State, Bama, and Georgia. Outside of that, maybe if you want to throw Ohio State or Oklahoma in it, sure, okay. Oklahoma can't play defense. They've played tight games against Kansas and some of these other programs. No way. Absolutely not. So the trade deadline came and went. They kept Fletcher Cox, the Eagles, which they should have. Okay? But you knew it. And for the record, we floated that out a bunch of times when we had Gary Cobb on over the last month. Okay? Right? Over the last month. So I think we kind of started that there. Bayou Cassell says, Dan, how different is it being in the game live there in the huddle compared to watching them at home? With your knowledge and experience, can you usually tell when a team isn't going to be able to get a W? That's a great question. Cassell, that's a great question. Great question. I love that. See, I had Baird Brooks on with me. Cassell, I had Baird Brooks on with me last week. He and I watched the game different. The first thing I see is, what is an offense trying to do to a defense? Like if you're going to play against a John Gruden offense, first thing they're trying to do is spread you out. Why? They want to create space. They want to create space for the running game, and they're trying to create space, trying to go up the seam, which is the hash marks, and hopefully they're going to try at least 4 or 5 times to have a plus 25 pass play somewhere in the cadence. Could be in the first half, second half, third quarter, wherever. They're going to get a feel for those big throws down the field. So when I watch a team, first thing I look at is, which is the team that first takes control of the line of scrimmage? Okay? When you guys watch games from now on, do me a favor, okay? Watch a game, whoever takes control of the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. You're going to get a sense on who is going to be the dominant team in this game. And it always tells and rears its head. Like last night, you could tell that the New York Giants were doing what? They were giving everything up underneath. They believed Patrick Mahomes was going to lose his patience. There was going to be an errant throw. There was going to be a fumble. They were doing everything in their power to hold Kansas City to what? Field goals. That was the game plan. Look, we're not going to stop these guys from scoring and getting chunk yards. But what we can do is play great red zone defense. And so that's what the Giants did. It was a brilliant defensive scheme that they put against Kansas City last night. Far lesser talent than Kansas City. But the coaching in that game, and I've told people this, coaching in the National Football League compared to the college game, again, it's checkers and chess. When you're in the NFL, it's such technique, and you're looking at trends. You're looking at how teams approach going after one another. And I can see it immediately. Starts with the line of scrimmage. Are you getting pressure on the quarterback? Are you able to run the ball? That's also a telltale sign. That's right, Bobby. The game is won. And you know what's funny? Nothing has really changed since 1920 when the league first was formed. Running the ball, stopping the run. How many times have you seen somebody throw for 500 yards and lose? But how many times have you seen somebody run the ball 200 yards and lose? Very rarely. Running the ball and defending the run. Can't do either. You can't win in this league. That's what made that 17 Eagles team so special. They were able to run the ball, protect the quarterback, and they weared your ass out. That was the most impressive group for a football team I've seen probably since the Steel Curtain back in the day with Joe Green's guys. When the Steelers had the most dominant O-line and the most dominant defensive line. What do you think during that golden age of the NFL when you had dynasties like the Dolphins and the Raiders and the Cowboys and all those great teams that the Steelers won 4 titles in 6 years? You know why? They had the dominant O-line and D-line. Then you had a Hall of Fame back and a Hall of Fame quarterback and 2 Hall of Fame wideouts. You were not going to stop Pittsburgh. And then that whole entire front LC Greenwood and Mean Joe Green. Dude, the linebacking core. You had 2 Hall of Famers in that linebacking core. Was crazy. All right. Hey, once again, please like the show. We really appreciate it. Everybody coming aboard. We apologize again for Andre Rison. Bad connection. We'll hope to catch up with him down the line. Don't forget also, watch the show a little bit later on. Till tomorrow, 4 to 6 Eastern. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.